I'm George Maximov, and this is Dragons and Owls. When I'm thinking about death, I have this morbid image in my head of complete blackness. A total unforgiving blackness. The darkness visible, as Milton writes. Another poet used to say that all colors agree in the night, but this is more than that. It is a void that can't be penetrated with the human gaze. It is simply said nothingness. It is the lack of life. Now, so many philosophers and thinkers wrote about that, it's going to be hard to come to some satisfying conclusion. But death is felt mostly from what is leaving behind. Nobody feels death more than the living. The passing of a family member, of a friend, of a pet, even the death of your favorite literary or cinematic character fills us with sadness and anger and sometimes profound depression. When Seneca wrote his Consolations on Marcia, a Roman woman that lost her son, he was trying to unveil death, and I quote, "It is regret for the absence of his loved one which causes a mourner to grieve. Yet it is clear that this in itself is bearable enough, for we do not weep at their being absent or intending to be absent during their lifetime, although when they leave our sight we have no more pleasures in them. What tortures us therefore is an idea, therefore the remedy is in our own hands." And then he continues, "Death is neither a good nor a bad thing, for that alone which is something can be a good or a bad thing. But that which is nothing, and reduces all things to nothing, does not hand us over to either fortune, because good and bad require some material to work upon. The good, the bad, and the ugly are moral categories residing in life and in the memories of the living. Lacrimae rerum is the Latin phrase for tears for things, and I'm going to use Robert Fagel's translation of the Aeneid here, which goes like this. The world is a world of tears, and the burdens of mortality touches the heart. But tears are celebration of life. We mourn the dead, but separate ourselves from death by the act of crying. Death is the ultimate separation, and the only thing that requires is our acceptance. Through the passing of the other, we learn how to cherish life and live it to the fullest. Henry David Thoreau writes that most people live a life of quiet desperation, and then they die. Life, however, needs to be respected, cherished, loved, lived, and mortality teaches us those hard lessons. I remember the last words of my grandfather before he passed away. It was a question really, and it's still sealed in my memory to this day. In perspective, those little moments matter, and in every uttered word is basically like a communion, a simple sentence packed in memory of grief. It is a morbid thing to contemplate death, morbid and ungrateful. The contemplation itself lives in the heart of life and leads that step from being to human. And being human is the best you can be. We live in a world where people want to live forever, beat death, conquer it even. Death is a disease. Death shall be no more. That thou shalt die, like John Donne writes. Jung, in his Red Book, writes that we need the coldness of death to see clearly. Life wants to live and to die and to begin and to end. Balance is at once life and death. For the completion of life, a balance with death is fitting. If I accept that, then my tree greens, since dying increases life. If I plunge into that, encompassing the world, then my buds break open. How much our life needs death. Now, being human means to be mortal, to accept your burden and shed the tears. Because the tears are reserved only for the living. Between heaven and hell, the decision awaits. But between life and death, only time resides. And for as long as it lasts, time is never on our side. This was Dragons and Owls. I'm George Maximov. You can leave a comment under this video if you wish. Like and subscribe. See you next time.